So at the moment, Krishan Rock is a trending topic. She is being investigated, allegedly investigated for unaliving one of her ex lovers, a person who allegedly is the father of her child. So this is a trending topic, and there are a lot of strong allegations toward Krishan Rock at the moment. If you're unfamiliar with the topic, in this live stream, I'm not, I don't think I'm gonna go over, the background story to catch up on the details. But if you're familiar with what's going on, I wanted to do this tarot reading here to pull some cards, and for those who are familiar with the storyline and what's going on, uh, these are the type of situations that help bring an understanding to the cards and their meaning. So that's what I want to look at here. And so this is a practice and a study. Okay. Because there's no guarantee in what I'm reading, how accurate the reading is going to be. So I just want to go ahead and pull some cards and take a look at it. And like I said, look up the cards and see what can be seen potentially here. All right, so I have, before I went live, I pulled this spread already just to look at what it would, what anything would look like. And I just wanted to see the energy surrounding Krishan Rock at this time. And so in the first position, which represent the challenge, the first position represent the thesis statement of the reading in the spread here. And it is the Three of Pentacles. The second position here is the challenge, the Wheel of Fortune, aka the 10th major arcana. The fifth position is here, and it represents what the energy is crowning this Celtic cross. So I call it the atmosphere energy, the atmospheric energy, and it is the Justice. Now, that's the fifth position. The fourth position is the Four of Pentacles. It represents energies from the recent past. And then this is the third position. It's what's grounding the Celtic cross. It is the Four of Cups. Okay, now this is the sixth position, which represents energy coming toward the reading from the near future and or the present moment. It's like a future-ish, present moment-ish type of embodiment. It's the Nine of Swords. Alright, so I'm going to look here actually in the seventh position, which represents a challenge. I like to put the challenge in the seventh position because it's a master number. So I like to put the challenge there, and then it so happens that it's easy to look at these two card combinations, which both represent a challenge in the reading. So they usually work together in tandem to give more insight. The eighth position represents external atmosphere energy, and it is the Hangman. So that position works in tandem with the sixth position, and these energies go toward one another, so it gives more context in that capacity there. So we put the Nine of Swords back in the sixth position. This is in the eighth position. Again, the external atmosphere energy. This position represents the internal atmosphere. It is the Knight of Cups. And then the 10th position represents the outcome in this short-term energy spread. This is just a short-term energy reading, looking at how the trajectory of energy is moving. But even a thought can change the trajectory. It has the Knight of Pentacles. So there's actually a positive outcome at the end of the day, from what I'm looking at in this spread, with the Queen of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles. And there's the Two of Swords here peeking through as well. Just wanted to be seen there. But, okay, so let's see. Oh, and so that reminds me here of this Hangman energy and the Nine of Sword energy. It lets me know that there is a sense of time lapse, a duration. I feel that this is saying the investigation, this period is going to extend within a duration of time. Like, it doesn't look like something that's going to end overnight. It's taking its time. It's the case itself is kind of old. I think it's a couple of years old. I don't know exactly how old it is. Haven't been following it that closely, but it's at least 2 years or older. Actually, yeah, I think it's about 2 years, maybe a little give or take. But anyhow, so it looks like there's still some time that this period is going to elapse. It also, having the Knight of Pentacles and the outcome, I feel like it's saying that Krishan herself and others, Krishan, I believe, is making money off of this situation. But let me see what's actually. Let's clarify that. Dear Holy Spirit, what is the Knight? Okay, so it's the Star card. Let me see the camera. I have to make sure this is. Okay, so I gave myself a mic check. So the Star card is clarifying the Knight of Pentacles. Anything else? Yeah, so kind of seems like there is making money, like a scheme to make money out of the situation, or what, capitalizing off of the situation with the intent to make money off of the situation. Almost seems like that is the outcome in the situation. And also with the Knight of Cups being in the 9th position, there of course is a desire to want things to work out in a favorable direction for Krishan too. Feel like of course she's hopeful that things turn out in her favor. So now those who might be familiar with the situation, having the Wheel of Fortune. So I want to go over these card combinations and lay out the spread so that we could become more familiar with the cards and their definitions. So now that you're familiar with this story, those of you who are, you could understand how the Wheel of Fortune is in the challenge position. How I explained that of that energy being a culminative, a combination, a collective combination of energy in a cipher, like in a karmic cipher, a chapter, where the free will actions of the person of interest that we're talking about, so in this case it would be Krishan, how all of those actions that she took within that chapter, in that journey, within her own free will, comes to culminate, and it comes into this spin cycle where if she put her best foot forward, if she was really ethical in the situation, if she took the high road, or if she took shortcuts and was devious with ill intentions, that type of energy could pass through the Wheel of Fortune in a favorable direction, or it could cause the Wheel of Fortune to go into the reverse, and then we'll see disturbance as in the outcome. So I'm actually, this, the outcome so far seems to look pretty fair, pretty balanced. So I'm just looking in the atmosphere for her to see what can be seen. It looks like, the challenge and maybe the fear that she has is that she'll be left out in the cold, maybe abandoned, seems to be one of her challenges. The Five of Pentacles, guys, that's the card that embodies feeling left out in the cold, weathering a storm on your own. So that seems to be a challenge here as far as this Wheel of Fortune. Let's see what else. A lot of people turning against her, a lot of people judging her. Oh, and that brings me to this card right here, the Justice, So, like for me, usually when I see the Justice card, and I'm dealing with a relationship, usually when I do readings and I get the Justice card, I'm talking about a relationship. I haven't really done a general reading such as this in a while. So this reminds me that, yes, there is legalistic components and symbolism in the Justice card, as you can see, very legalistic there. So when this card comes out, it could represent some legal aspects that the current or person of interest is dealing with, right? There is a pending judgment, there is a pending ruling, and that is what's crowning and giving atmosphere energy here in the spread, right? So what is interesting is to have the Four of Pentacles in our past position. So let's take a look at the Four of Pentacles, right? This Four of Pentacles here, actually I'm going to get a traditional card, a traditional illustration that you could see. Okay, so here's the Four of Pentacles. Yeah, I want you to see this here. This is interesting. Now you see the difference in the illustration? Now what's interesting is I'm using this deck and there's a little case right there and these pentacles are here, and you see the figure in this illustration just kind of governing and holding tight that case of pentacles there, right? Kind of like covering it up, shielding it from the world, so to speak, protective, very protective over it, right? That illustration is different a bit from this one, but when I looked at this illustration, it almost looked like the case, this case, this investigation, opening back up, and it's, guarded, and it's like real careful about that case. Something that, just a little offshoot, like my opinion or my own thought about it is, I just can't help but to think, like, why is it taking so long? Why has it taken so long for this case to come forth with this type of investigation? Like, if we watch the 48 hours, it's like they let us know that within 48 hours of a case, if it goes cold, the chances of finding anything helpful in the case is very difficult after 48 hours. And it's been over some years, and it's like you're just getting around to investigating it. And also what's interesting too is usually when a situation like this, somebody is unalived, the first suspect that comes to mind is their significant other, the ex, the people that they were last in contact with, which is Krishan. So it's interesting that she is just now becoming potentially, allegedly, a person of interest in the investigation. Like, that's really odd, because that would be the first thing usually that they look for, that they would look at, that they would investigate. But anyhow, the Four of Pentacles, I would like to clarify it and see why the Four of Pentacles is here. Typically, when I see the Four of Pentacles, the definition that goes with that is somebody who is not wanting to overextend themselves. It's known as the stingy card, and they're holding back. They don't want to overextend. They don't want to extend themselves because it feels like it would be at their expense, and it feels like it would be overextending, you know. So they're just kind of like trying to govern themselves with the resources, with the little resources that they have. They're kind of afraid basically of spending it. But in this context, which is why I'm holding it up like this, in the case of this investigation, it seems to read and have a different interpretation, you know, like a closed case that's opening back up, and there's, you know, like a kind of secretive and protected, and there's like just holding back. Let's see what it is. I want to clarify that. See what it would look like in the tarot to clarify it. So I'm going to stack the deck here and take a look. Dear Holy Spirit, please clarify why the Four of Pentacles are here. Page of Pentacles. So that feels like an investigation. That feels like an investigation, like carefully taking out the pentacle out of this case and analyzing it, looking at it carefully, hoping to get something useful there to help in the investigation. Why else is the Four of Pentacles here? The 15th major arcana here, aka the Devil card. Again, about that investigation, there's something very ill will, you know, that happened. Boundary crossing. Okay, so that reminds me of the 15th major arcana and what it typically stands for. Rules, regulations, boundaries. You know, rules, regulations, boundaries, expectations, status, you know, Saturn energy. So let's take a look there. Heavy Saturn energy. Let's see. So that I don't forget, I'm going to pull out our 15 major arcana from this deck. Put that face down a bit, and let's see. I just would like to pray and acknowledge that the Most High sits on the throne of my life. Thank you, dear Holy Spirit, for the opportunity to seek you for understanding and to study in the gift of reading the tarot. Alright, so here, this is a more, you know, I personally have adopted more to use this deck because of this image of the 15 major arcana versus the other image of the 15 major arcana. But yes, so here's the card. I'm going to put it right here because it, just to remind myself, it was used to clarify the Four of Pentacles. And so far, I would like you to see, I myself am taking note of, wow, you know, this Four of Pentacles card, this is one of the examples of how a traditional card and its traditional definitions, when you're reading in a different scenario and, you know, a life situation, how experience can bring more, you know, bring more of the definition, more symbolism into the card. You know, how that just happened. Like, wow, so far how it's been clarified, it's letting us know, yes, an investigation. Somebody taking that pentacle, carefully looking at it, carefully trying to get something out of it, studying it, investigating it. And then we see this 15 major arcana, knowing that the investigation pertains to the unaliving of someone. So we're looking at that 15 major arcana. So let's see. Alright, so let's take a moment to read about the 15 major arcana and its symbolism there. Yeah. So I just want to be more neutral in my approach to reading and studying the situation here. So let's see, the devil. The devil is primarily about fear, lies, and ignorance, resulting in doubt and pessimism. I'm going to turn this fan in this direction. Thank you, God, for your goodness and your mercy. All right, so the devil is about fear, lies, and ignorance, resulting in doubt and pessimism. The word comes from a root meaning adversary, someone or something that acts contrary to your interest or welfare. The card shows what tends to halt, limit, or constrict. Let me put this card up here. This is the card that I'm reading about. So the word comes from a root meaning adversary, someone or something that acts contrary to your interest or welfare. The card shows what tends to halt, limit, or constrict your creative energy and actions. It may refer to childhood guilt. And it says, in its milder forms, you may act devilishly, do what is bad for you, and perhaps taunt, bug, or bedevil others. You might trespass on social or sexual taboos, or fixate on materialistic concerns, or be tempted to bend the rules to serve your own ends. You may seek gains by asserting undue power and influence. You could relinquish your will to others or seek to dominate them. You may fear that some cruel external force or fate wants to harm you, and thus look to scapegoat those you view with prejudice and hatred. Underneath, there is a failure to love, with a resulting sense of isolation and separateness. Psychologically, this epitome the shadow aspects of yourself that are denied, unacknowledged, or hidden. Although it can indicate sexuality, it is easily tainted with perversion or violence. You may feel tempted by lust, desire, greed, or pride. You could obsess about a relationship or coveted object with a kind of fatal attraction. You might feel panic or confusion, or perhaps you are the one invoking pandemonium or inviting chaos. Sometimes this is sheer mischievousness and practical jokes. The devil made me do it. Or you may fear and avoid whatever you consider bad, which is itself a limiting, fettered condition. Occasionally it refers to inflicting intentional or malicious pain upon someone, or acting from jealousy, envy, or spite. You might be subject to addictions or compulsive, obsessive behaviors. So as the devil awes and attracts you to the power of the elemental forces of nature, it can also signify humorlessness and an inability to laugh at yourself, along with excessive dogmatism and seeing only the surface of things. So this card, clarifying that Four of Pentacles, and as I said, the investigation, and carefully, meticulously, the investigators and those online investigators, because there's a lot of online investigators going through the archives and studying even the body language and Freudian slips and stuff like that. But anyhow, let's look at the traditional definition of this card. Fate, fatality, violence, havoc, rage, shock, disease. Then it says vehemence, force, power, impetus, immodesty, passion, lust, sensuality, magnetism, occult power, black magic, bondage, malevolence, temptation, and self-destruction. And this is in the upright. So I haven't even read about it in the reverse. But just to give some context, so far, actually, what's been seen in this spread so far, especially clarifying the Four of Pentacles and seeing an investigator pick up the pentacle and studying it as we described, that even gives a potential different context to the Knight of Pentacles, which came out in the 10th position. So let me look there. Let's see what's in the Knight of Pentacles. Dear Holy Spirit, please clarify the Knight of Pentacles. See what's in the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, look guys. So the Knight of Pentacles is being clarified with the Knight of Pentacles. It is what it is. Let me see what else. Is there anything else? Ooh, guys, look at that. It's being clarified with the Death card, the 13 major arcana. Anything else? Okay, the Two of Cups. Wow. Oh, man. I feel like that's pointing to the fact that these two, Krishan and the victim of that unalived loved one, they were once lovers. They were once lovers. Oh my gosh. But nonetheless, it's the Two of Cups. And then there's the Two of Pentacles here too. So I feel like there's a bit of the confirmation there regarding that we're left on a cliffhanger, so to speak, because and I wasn't sure if we were going to be left on a cliffhanger, but this clarifies that there is a cliffhanger here, because I feel like there's still some uncertainty at the end of this energetic trajectory that we're looking at in this reading right here. This is just looking at the current energies for the moment, and it looks like they're still going to be pending. The investigation is still going to be pending. And I did pick that up when I was looking at the Hangman here too. Well, let's take a look here. And the Strength. The Strength is appearing here. And the Queen of Swords. Okay, and I'm looking at the Knight of Pentacles again, which is the card that I'm clarifying. The Strength and the Queen of Swords. Well, the Queen of Swords is technically this embodiment right here for Libra. But I wondered too if it has something to do. I was really curious with the fact that Krishan's demeanor. It appeared like Krishan's demeanor toward this investigation. Now, if I be honest, me personally, I've been noticing Krishan's coldness toward this incident, and I was really just personally, I was really just, if I be honest with you, annoyed or something. Like, how come this girl, really annoyed by the fact of how she was she came back onto the scene after a time of pause. We hadn't really seen her around for a while, and she started trending and going viral again kind of suddenly. And then when she popped back out, she was just back to herself, where she cries a lot. She has a natural disposition to be crying a lot all the time. She's always crying, and she used to always say, and everybody used to comment on it, she used to kind of just really embrace the fact of, yes, I'm a crybaby. I cry all the time. I cry about everything. But when it came to this case, when it came to his unalivement, even when it comes to her son's disability, it seems like there's this coldness and there's no tears. And I just found that curious. How could you have wet eyes for everything, but not about this? But anyway, I said that because the Queen of Swords being clarified there in that Knight of Pentacle outcome card, it's really interesting. I wonder if it has something to do with the coldness, but it also does point back to the Justice, and I feel like that confirms that there's a high likelihood that this case will be pending for a while. The investigation will be going on for a while, including the online investigation that content creators are doing themselves. Hey guys, thank you so much for your support on the channel and on the video. Okay, so let's see here. So let's see. Now, the Three of Pentacles here, this is the thesis statement in this spread right here. And so, you know, like I always say here about those Three of Pentacles is that it represents it. You know, so usually when this comes out, like lately I've been doing a lot of romance readings, love readings, looking at connections in that capacity. Not even romance, it could be platonic connections, whatever. But anyhow, relationships. And it has been coming out lately as obstructive interference, like a third party situation, a third will, obstructive interference. But however, this card is traditionally intended, like it's supposed to be coming together, a group coming together with the intentions to optimize and to improve a situation. So it could be like getting legal counsel, for an example, surrounding yourself, acquiring a team of supporters and advocates who are knowledgeable, surrounding yourself around peers or others with specialized professions and skill sets to optimize a situation, to improve a situation. It's not supposed to be obstructive interference technically, but sometimes when it comes in context is everything, it is obstructive. So let me see what this is about. Why are the Three of Pentacles here? But you know what, even before clarifying it, I'm already starting to have a lot of answers to the question. You know, the online community that have gathered together to compile their information and like I said, apply their skills to body reading, tarot readings, the Freudian slips that is taking place, and you know, sharing information online and otherwise, the investigators coming together to do this. As it relates to Krishan, well, Krishan has already also admitted that investigators have pulled her aside and detectives have questioned her too. And then I know like one of the content creators pointed out, they were like, hold up, wait a minute. So you're working with the police. Listen to her carefully. She says they called her phone. When do you ever know of, you know, the police calling your phone asking for permission to meet you in a public place like a gym, and then you go open the door for them? So it's like, well, she's working with the police. They have her phone number. Like, what's really going on? But anyhow, that could be represented in the Three of Pentacles. It's interesting if she is working with the police about an investigation that somehow involves her. Anyhow, so dot dot dot. Well, there's a lot to unpack. Let me clarify the Three of Pentacles though here. Let's see here. All right, so now. All right, so this clarifying deck is stacked. Intentionally it's stacked, right? So just to let you guys know how I read. So this Knight of Pentacles making an appearance for the card that I was actually clarifying, for me it closes it out. Now I can keep going and keep getting information, but it's like when I'm getting information, okay, there it is, there it is, there it is, and then I'm closed out. And if I keep going, okay, and there it is, there it is, there it is, it's like that's a segmented piece of information, segmented piece of information, segmented piece of information, etc. I could keep going. Anyhow, what I have also found that there's another card that closes me out. It's usually the Apprentice, the first major arcana. Now, what I have found that is, so when I'm ready to work in another place, so I want to go to these Three of Pentacles, right? And Spirit left me off here at the Knight of Pentacles. When I pick it up, it's still going. This Wheel of Fortune is on the table. So you see how now this card was on the top of the deck, it's on the table. This card, it's on the table, guys. Now this card is the Wheel of Fortune, and it's in the challenging position to this Three of Pentacles. I want to clarify the Three of Pentacles. I was pointed to the Wheel of Fortune. Hey in the chat. Hi Neon, thank you for stopping by and saying hi. Hey everybody, thank you for your support on the video. Now, moving from the Knight of Pentacles and being pointed to the Wheel of Fortune, I'm reminded here, this is the outcome. This is in the 10th position, the Knight of Pentacles. This is the challenge to the thesis statement. So it's reminding me, because at first I was here looking at this Wheel of Fortune, and I was looking at this energy, you know, the 6th position. I was looking at other places, guys, but I neglected to look here at the outcome. So this lets me know this Wheel of Fortune is also associated with the outcome. But I'm going to keep going here. I'm looking for the Three of Pentacles. Okay, I'm pointed back to the Knight of Pentacles. This card here. There goes the Ace of Pentacles. And there goes my Three of Pentacles that I'm looking for. Alright, so let me clarify. Dear Holy Spirit, please clarify the Three of Pentacles and why they're here. Why are the Three of Pentacles here? The Lovers. It points to the Lovers. So, the victim, the man who was unalived, I continue to say, we know that was a lover of Krishan, and allegedly the father of her child. And we know too that she has gone out of her way to try to pitch to us that that man, the victim who was unalived, is not the father of her child. She keeps trying to tell us that another lover is the father of her child. This Three of Pentacles and this lover, and just being familiar with the storyline, we do know that there is obstructive interference there, especially because one of the lovers was unalived. It seems like Krishan is really cold about that fact, doesn't seem to be very caring. There's no tears in her wet eyes. There's tears for everything else, but not for this past lover of hers that has fatally lost his life. And she continues to want to have a relationship with the other lover, and also say that that lover is the father to her child. So in the Three of Pentacles, the Lover card is coming to clarify it. Dear Holy Spirit, is there anything else? Okay, Six of Swords. So that also suggests, like I said, the Three of Pentacles could be obstructive interference, which is toxic. The Six of Swords, though, is talking about moving away from the toxicity into a better situation, with the Six of Swords being there. The Two of Pentacles. So there's wavering, I feel like, you know, the juggling. This is really intense. I'm kind of getting overwhelmed because there's so much. The Two of Pentacles is juggling. The Two of Pentacles is also it accompanies the Three of Pentacles obstructive interference, because it's a juggler that's juggling multiple love options. It could also be with that Six of Swords making an appearance, a little difficulty in leaving and or staying, which we are kind of seeing, and it's kind of hard to tell what part of this um, with Krishan and her lovers, her love interest, how much of this is performative and how much of it is sincere. When she pitches to the world that her and this lover that she claims is the father to her child are just co-parenting, and there's no love interest there, they're just professional acquaintances, and then we find out that they're actually never stopped, sleeping together and all these other allegations. So anyhow, that could be the Two of Pentacles, could be the wavering back and forth. Sometimes it gets toxic. They want to abandon the situation. Other times there's some sort of magnetic pull back into the connection. That's what the Two of Pentacles represent, making an appearance to clarify that. So let's see. Dear Holy Spirit, is there anything else? Ooh, and it points us back to the Justice, which is this card here. Notice again the different artwork. Notice the different artwork. It's really interesting. Okay. Justice. So, in a unaliving investigation, to see this type of justice, clarifying the Three of Pentacles, and also this version of the illustration of the Justice, the illustrator is emphasizing the legality, the legal aspect of it. All right. Dear Holy Spirit, is there anything else in the Three of Pentacles to clarify? In my clarifiers, I look to be redirected. I look for information to be expounded upon, or I look for a reiteration, which is just clarifying and repeating. Let's see. All right. So we have a group of cards that came out. These card combinations: the Knight of Swords, Queen of Swords, and King of Swords. All right. So what is potentially obstructive here, and or collaborative in the positive way of trying to improve a situation, it looks like there's communication. There's communication, and we have seen that the Lover card has made an appearance. So, and we're looking at the King and Queen of Swords and the Knight of Swords. It almost suggests that that lover, their communication with that lover could be obstructive. And we've already started to see, actually, they have started to go viral and disclose certain aspects of their communication. Yeah, especially Krishan, but not especially Krishan, but it almost seems like it with Krishan volunteering information that nobody asked her, almost as if she's trying to incriminate this this lover that she also is trying to pin her baby on, say that is the father of her child, not the man who was unalived. But it's really interesting that why would you, with all the tattoos of this man's image on your face and on your body, why would you try to incriminate that man and just volunteer information about him and about your conversation? If you, like, that's obstructive. That's toxic. And then it seems that the male lover, I'm just trying to avoid saying their names too much, just only Krishan, but he speaks out to defend himself. It's like, okay, he seems to speak out just to clear his, tell his side of the story. Yeah, but that would be the communication could be obstructive to this investigation. But interesting, in this spread, it's not necessarily the investigation per se. That's the thesis statement. The thesis statement is this Three of Pentacles. Which the King and Queen and their communications. Let's see. Okay. Queen, King, Knight. Page of Swords, Justice, information. Yeah, because that information will be used in the court. That information will be used in the investigation, their communications. And again, it's interesting because, yikes, you know, we're looking at the Krishan's lover who was unalived, and then the lover that she's trying to pin her child on, who is denying paternity. Yeah, so see the Wheel of Fortune and the Knight of Swords. So that's obstructive, and it's also cumulative energy that's we're seeing in this outcome. In the Knight of Pentacles, you know, the Knight of Pentacles there is the outcome. But interesting that we've clarified that these pentacles so far in the reading have been clarified as pieces of evidence in the investigation. Pieces of evidence in this investigation. Well, okay. And then what's grounding here is the Four of Cups. So this typically represents emotional apathy, and just that's grounding. So going on autopilot, focused on what Krishan is focused on, could be blinded to the cup coming toward her. There could be something coming toward her. That's what is the highlighted area of concern in the Four of Cups. But let's clarify that and see how that energy resonates in this reading. Dear Holy Spirit, please clarify the Four of Cups here. Why is the Four of Cups here? Okay. So I feel like there's apathy about this investigation. That's the pinnacle here. I feel like is that cup. Yikes. And the Lovers, focused on the love aspect and not the significant impact of the investigation and of the life that was taken, the life that was lost. Eight of Swords is feeling trapped, and so numbing emotions to deal with the entanglements, the soul ties of that love is also blinding and numbing too. That's another reason why I did want to do this reading for Krishan, especially because for other connections that may be struggling, other loves that may be struggling right now, finding themselves in a toxic connection and struggling to get out of it. You know, because Krishan is really young, and actually everybody involved in this situation are very young, and they were hit with a lot of attention, a lot of power, a lot of money, a lot of, you know, very quickly, which is blinding. Like the Four of Cups, it could, you know, be derailing. And so with that much power so fast and being so influential, you know, with the children and the youth and, you know, generations, the young generation coming up after her, watching and being influenced by such a lifestyle, such a toxic lifestyle. But yeah, I wanted to look deeper into Krishan and what's going on. Hopefully to learn from the situation. It's not only young people, old people, just people, humans in general. I think it checks the temperature of society right now, you know, and love interest and the danger, the blind sight to fall in love so deeply and just be blinded to, you know, to just do the most heinous things. Like it's really interesting to, if you guys have followed Krishan and you've you got a chance to remember her lover who is now unalived, how supportive and how loving. That's all we ever seen of him, loving her, supporting her. We found out he shared actually how he even put his life in harm's way to save her in self-defense. You know, he himself unalived someone, and now there's allegations that maybe they both unalived. You know, there's questions about that, but that type of love that would put their life on the line for you. And then there's even the part of the storyline where he put his life on the line to save her, and she actually called the police on him. He said, she called the police on me. She's the one who called the police on me. And when he was in the mall, and there's allegations that she called him to the mall to meet up with him. There's some who are saying they have the text messages still, or they seen the text message. They could prove that she actually called him up there. But then when he came there, she acted like he was stalking her and like she wasn't expecting him to be there. And then she ended up calling the police on him again and just watched the police come and carry him off and press charges on him too. But what is the point? So hopefully, you know, there's for anybody going through a hard breakup right now, having a hard time letting go of a toxic connection, maybe this will help disconnect, let it go, because it could go really far. It could go really far. I do want to pull some more cards and take a different look, but this is one of the spreads that was developed, and I just kind of wanted to introduce that to the channel and see, hey guys, let's look at these card combinations, let's look at this spread and see what we can see. So thank you for your support on this video and on the channel. I want to come back and pull another spread asking a different question. Signing off for now until next time. Peace.